Hey everyone, it's Dacian Miller, and we're here with our next episode of what the hell is this? Whiteboard Wednesday. Whiteboard Wednesday. Got too much stuff going on. Anyway, so here we are Wednesday. What's today? April 6th of 2022 for those of you keeping track. Doesn't really matter. These are independent lessons, right? Of course, they lead into our Friday virtual training. But anyway, I'll talk about that in a minute because there's something else that we're opening up that hopefully a couple of folks, 1, 2, 20, whatever, are going to be interested in. But anyway, what I'm going to do is take a look at another framework that we use that you can use, obviously, right, to help you kind of structure things, know where you are at any given point, right? Different daishihan in Japan that I've worked with kind of look at this. They look at it the same way, but the wording, descriptions, and things like that can be a little bit different, right? So there's actually, if you were one of my platinum inner circle students, whether you were live in the academy, living locally to me, come in for seminars, or you're one of my long distance guys, there's a worksheet that's actually in the library that people get very early on that help them to kind of structure things and know where it's going on. As a matter of fact, this Friday morning coming up, the weekly coaching call that I'm doing for my Friday group, we're going to be taking a look at this thing that I'm going to be giving you today from 3 different levels along our progress toward mastery, right? All right. So anyway, again, I'm going to give you this framework. We're going to look at the 3 levels of training. My hat keeps falling all over the place. You know what? We'll just get rid of that. Anyway, so we're going to take a look at how to structure kind of things, look at 3 levels of training, basics, intermediate, advanced from a different perspective. But before we do that, actually what I want to do, and I've been thinking about whether I should do this as a Kuden podcast topic or whatever, but you know what? I'm just feeling it at the moment. So I'm going to do this. And so here's one of the things that I've been noticing, right? I had to catch myself doing it and to stop, right? And I'm constantly reminding students, right? Be careful, be careful, be careful that you don't compartmentalize your training, right? And people can do that in different ways, right? One way they do it, right? Well, I'm just going to make this little diagram here, right? So, right, no, we're not playing tic-tac-toe. What I want you to think of is like 9 boxes, okay? 9 different boxes, right? So one way that people do it, right, in training is, for us, right, Mod 1, right? You could call it beginner training. You could call it your 9th Q, whatever it is that you're doing, right? But there's a bunch of toys in here, right? There's some skill sets, there's some techniques and all that, right? And then, you get all that, you pass your test, you move on to the next one. For us, it's Mod 2. You move on to the next one, right? But what ends up happening, regardless of how many boxes of toys you have, right? And this happens a lot in martial arts. It's happened my entire martial arts career until I decided I was going to break the cycle because it doesn't serve people except for earning like the next color of this, right? Or the next number behind the black, right? So the way my curriculum's laid out anyway is Mod 1, right? Yes, there's a box of toys. You get the stuff, you need to become proficient with it. But there's also like a limited kind of perspective and mindset and whatnot that the student has at this level, right? Hatsumi Sensei has always said, I could take one technique, write an entire book about it, but it would take you a lifetime to run the process. And ego tends to not like that kind of thing, right? So as an instructor, as a good teacher, I have to do 2 things at the exact same time. I have to give people what they want or what they think they want while simultaneously giving them what they really need. Because if I don't give them what they want, their perception is, well, this isn't what I'm looking for. And they're going to go jump onto Kim's tic-tac-toe or whatever bandwagon, right? Okay. And part of that is how the instructor does things, right? If I don't give them what they need and I just give them what they want, then I've got what people call a McDojo or a belt factory or whatever. They feel all warm and fuzzy about themselves, but they're going to get killed, right? So as a ninja, how do I slide in what they need while presenting it, at least in part, in a way that they want, right? And that's why my instructor trainees right now are going through this whole thing and learning about things like pre-framing and reframing and all that, so that we can help people get around their own mental blocks and ill-conceived perceptions, right? But the way it normally happens is they do this, right? They learn this, they graduate to the next thing, and guess what they do? You guessed it. They stop practicing that stuff. Well, because that's Mod 1 techniques, or that's Earth techniques, or that's That's ninth Q, whatever, however people want to describe it, right? That's beginner stuff, right? I'm beyond that, okay? Except there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a beginner skill, a beginner technique, or a beginner kata. What there are skills and techniques and kata and whatnot that we present at a certain level because they, one, help us convey the lessons, the principles and concepts and things like that, that a student needs to get first, right? And they're doable by somebody at that level of training, okay? But they're building blocks, okay? Can you imagine, right? We're going to build the 14th floor of a skyscraper, but, after we built first floor and then we're going to start working on the second floor, what we're going to do is just trash the first floor and get rid of it. And we're going to hope that the second floor just kind of hangs out, right? Same thing with the third, the fourth, all the way up to the 13th floor. It doesn't work that way, right? Everything beyond anyone is dependent upon not only us learning the lessons, but having improved our proficiency. What should be happening is when I move into mod 2, yes, I'm getting a new box of toys. Those box of toys include some new techniques and all that convey the lessons or help to convey the lessons we're trying to convey and all that. But the principles and concepts we're getting here add to what we didn't know here. So that should be making these better, stronger, right? Okay. Let's just say that this is shits and giggles, right? We're just going to make this first degree black belt, right? So there's a certain type of ability. There's a certain skill level and all that this person has to have. So a well-structured curriculum breaks that down. What's needed here to be almost there? What's needed here to be almost there? That kind of thing, right? So these are building blocks. They're like Legos, right? Or whatever, okay? And they really are like Legos or jigsaw puzzle pieces or gears where they mesh together. They're dependent upon each other, but they also help the other one do its job, right? It's interconnectivity, right? So that's one way to look at it, right? But another way to look at it too is that people put their martial arts training, right, in a box as well, right? This is a part of my life, right? But they don't use it outside of the dojo, right? Okay, so if I've learned how to do something, right, where I'm moving away and I'm delivering a counter strike and then I'm coming back in, right, to do something or whatever, what's that kata really teaching? To the beginner mind, I don't care what color this is. I don't care. To the beginner mind, we're always doing X kata, Y counter strike, whatever strike to come in and do that thing because, well, that's the way the kata is done. No, that's the way the example is presented as an initiation to a block of study. Okay? But what ends up happening is they study martial arts, right? And they're in relationships, or one, right? Friendships. They have a job that they go to. They raise their kids, whatever, right? And very rarely, if ever, usually accidentally, do these things connect. Okay? But if we looked at our martial arts or our self-protection training as resolving conflict, how many of these bubbles would that fit into? Okay? Health, natural movement, what's the least I can do that would produce the same or greater results? What kind of bubble does that fit into? All that, right? So it's kind of bass backwards, right? So here's the thing, right? For a long, long time, right? Whether it's Kuden, in my classes, seminars, on these things sometimes, right? I talk about this thing called goals, right? And it's not important to have goals, but I think people get too freaking fixated on goals. And then goals are something they aim for, and then they either hit it or they don't, right? For me, goals are things that, like, I'm pretty sure I can do this, so I'll set it here, okay? Goals for me are things that I'm always going to fall short on because I just set my goals that way, right? Okay, it gives me more to strive for. I end up, one of the things that cause regrets for me is hitting my goals. Because if I hit my goal, what that tells me is I didn't set my goal high enough. Okay, I didn't set it high enough, right? Let's think about this, right? Okay? I'm gonna approach this a little bit differently, right? What I want you to think about is vision, okay? And that's kind of a nebulous in the cloud kind of thing, right? Vision. And what I mean by that is, what do you want? Who do you want to be after you've run through this process? What is this process supposed to be helping you with, right? What kind of situations are you going to be able to handle? Can you see that in your head, right? What kind of skill sets do you want to be like uber good at, right? What kind of results and things like that do you want to be producing in the world, right? Not just when somebody's coming at you with a knife, but what about resolving arguments and dealing with people who are trying to push their ideology, or they're trying to make you feel bad because you didn't buy XYZ product or whatever, right? What do you mean you can't fix a car? What kind of guy are you? I'm a guy that watched my stepdad ruin perfectly good cars. And I don't, that's not my forte. I don't want to learn that. Okay. I have my own forte. This is where I'm a specialist in the world, right? So I pay people to fix my car. And if they mess it up, guess what? They need to fix it. Didn't cost me anything extra because that was on them, right? If I play know-it-all, go try to fix my car, everything I break in the process of fixing the one thing, I got to pay for it to fix. Okay. So, but what's the vision, right? What do I want my life to be like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, right? What do I want? What kind of abilities do I want? What kind of control, power, confidence, whatever do I want to be able to have that I think this thing is supposed to be producing for me? Okay. Then goals, which are non-emotional. This is what drives our passion. This is what drives our commitment, all that kind of stuff. This is where the emotions are, right? I want that. I want my life to be like that, right? I can see myself kicking back on the deck of a boat, enjoying the friggin' day. And you know what? I'm enjoying a day that's a part of a string of days because I want one that's going to allow me to live out on the river or in a lake or whatever for a week or more and tell everybody else to leave me the hell alone. And I'm self-sufficient. Does that mean I'm going to just run away and escape for that little vacation? Yeah, you bet. Okay. So, but I can see myself doing that, right? So same thing with this, right? I've envisioned myself being able to resolve certain types of situations. Well, I don't really know what kind of situation is going to pop up for me. You're right. But I see news stories. I watch little things in movies, or somebody described something that happened to them or whatever, and I can reverse engineer that. Okay. So I want to be able to handle that. I want to be able to see myself. If you can't see yourself doing it in your head, and that goes from everything from getting a better job to having a better relationship, same person or different person or whatever. If you can't see it in your head, how the hell are you going to recognize it in the world? That was a lesson from teachers too. Ninjutsu is way more than just how cool do I look this way, right? But anyway, so vision is where the passion goes, and then call them belt levels, call them modules, call them skill sets, call them whatever you want. Each of these are now benchmarks. They're like rungs on a ladder. I need that to be able to be closer to that. I need this to be able to be closer to this. You get it? Okay. We're not just running around collecting a box of frickin' toys or trading out one box of toys for another box of toys. Okay. Now you can do it any way you want. Okay. But if we're talking about mastery and proficiency and all that, it doesn't work that way. All right. Now I felt the need for speed. No, I felt the need to make sure this went out before I give you yet another framework. Because what's going to happen ultimately is you're going to be watching the series, and you're going to be getting framework after framework after framework, and we're going to be talking about skill sets and kata and all that. And you're going to hit a point where it's just going to seem like overwhelmed, like, holy shit, how do I practice all that? You prioritize. Where am I? What do I need for each rung, each benchmark that will ultimately produce this? Right? People don't do that because I think a lot of teachers don't teach it that way, right? But they do them, I'll do me. All right. So not beleaguer this, because these are not supposed to be like, I don't know, weekend seminars, right? Try to keep it under a certain amount of time here, right? They are like little mini seminars. We'll call it that, right? Because they are a complete teaching. You can take this, run with it, figure out how you're going to make it work in your own training and all that kind of stuff. Or you can jump in with us and I'll walk you through it, right? We'll just, because that's the way everything's laid out. But anyway, all right, so we're going to take a look at these 3 levels. I know, yeah, put up again with my sucky handwriting. 3 levels of mastery. Right? 3 levels, right? So 1, 2, 3, right? I know, everybody's already going to jump ahead. So I write basics, and then I write intermediate, and then you already know what I'm going to write next, right? Everybody jumps out. Well, duh, I know there's basics, there's intermediate, there's advanced. Yeah, I know. Go back to vaping, whatever it is you need to do, right? So basic, intermediate, and advanced. Here's the question. What the hell does that mean? What's there? What's a part of the basic training? Because you know what? You can be in the basic levels and be working on a kamae, a strike, a kick, a kata, a drill, or whatever, but you haven't moved from here to anywhere else. Conversely, you can also have one of these things on, have learned a whole bunch of stuff, but because of the way you're training, you haven't left that either, or you haven't left somewhere between these two things. Okay? So what are we really looking at, right? Basics, right? Generally speaking, this is about mechanics. And I don't mean guys that fix your car, okay? Mechanics, how to move the body parts, how they relate, all that kind of stuff, right? I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because there's actually same chart, three different transmission levels, three different ways to approach it as you're moving through, right? But in the beginning stages, this is what I'm giving you today. In the beginning stages, you know what, let's use a different color so it stands out, right? Okay? This is about you. You. Me. You've always wanted it to be about you. Congratulations. It's all about you. Okay? Do with it what you can. All right? But what's here? Okay? Again, we need to be looking at this from a 30,000 foot level, hot air balloon over a sports stadium or whatever, so we can see as much as possible. Otherwise, we can get lost. This is what happens when people just run around Vimeo and YouTube, or jump from one person's program to another person's program because they're just looking for a whole bunch of techniques. Like if I just learn a whole bunch, then I will be a master. Right? But what can happen is, and it happens more often than not, is people get confused and lost because they can't see the forest for the trees. Okay? We're going to take a look at the forest. We can look at the trees, but it's this double-sided kind of thing. It's you can see this on the video, right? Okay. Got one mandala, got another mandala, right? One is from me out. It's looking at the trees that make up the forest, but I can only see one patch at a time. That's kata, okay? Or I've got 30,000 foot view, being able to see the whole friggin' forest so I can see how big it is, what's involved, are the same types of trees right in there, or where are they, that kind of thing, right? So I can get a better idea of the scope of the training and how that fits in as a piece of that, right? It's just two completely different things, right? But what's in here, and again, keeping it fairly big, right? Not getting caught up in minutia. Things will fit into these, right? I want you to think about having a filing cabinet with three drawer filing cabinet, right? One drawer is marked basics, one drawer is marked intermediate, and one drawer is marked advanced. I slide the drawer open, I got a couple of these file folder kind of things, right? These big separator kind of things, right? Where one is marked one thing, one is marked another, and one is marked another. And then in between those, in those sections, I have file folders that have the things that fit that kind of thing. I do the same thing when we talk about the 5 elements and all that, right? People get all caught up in, oh, it's not the way they teach in Japan. What, today? So you're going to tell me, somebody who started in 1980, that that's not the way they taught when I was training, because you're just going to take a snapshot of what it looks like today and everybody else's bullshit, and you're going to tell me that I didn't train a certain way because that's not how you're training. See, we have to be careful, right? That's another form of compartmentalization, right? So basics, what's in here, okay? This is going to be a simple sheet. There's 3 things in each one. If you went through the one whiteboard training where I covered the 3-in-1, 1-in-3 principle, or I think we had 2 parts, right? 3-in-1, 1-in-3. Nothing is different, right? Everything that I'm presenting, even though I'm using English language, I'm not using cool Japanese words, I'm not presenting it exactly the same way, this person or that, same principles, same concepts. Just because it looks different because I'm in this realm using creative application, right? Skillful means to present things in different ways so that some things are going to click for some people, they're going to get it. Some things are going to click for some people, they're going to get it, right? Instead of always teaching it the same way, so that only 1/10 of the people that come to me for help can actually learn anything, because we have to be on the same wavelength. Okay, ridiculous. I would almost use the word retarded, but some people don't like that word, even though it just means slow or handicapped, right? Just because we don't like it doesn't mean it doesn't apply, right? So anyway, basics. What's in here? Okay, kamae. I'm writing BM, but it doesn't mean what some people think it means. It's body movement, okay? And striking. Sensei, where's the grappling stuff? We don't grapple in Taijutsu, okay? What people call grappling, it's a bad translation because it makes you do things wrong, right? Grappling, the shoulder dislocations, the wrist reversal, all that kind of stuff, they're nothing but a combination of these things. Okay? Reaching out to grab someone is the same physiological anatomy, physiology, dynamics, and everything involved in striking. As a matter of fact, our grabs strike as we grab. Okay? Unless that's not the way you do it, because everybody keeps teaching is soft training, and then there's nothing there to actually present that because that hurts, Sensei. Yeah, we're not handing somebody a goddamn flower, right? That's trying to kill us. Anyway, right? Come on. Body movement, striking. Next question. What's kamae teach? What's kamae teach? Well, that can't be right? I learned kamae. Somebody's teaching me kamae. Yeah. What does kamae teach? Because almost all your kamae have the same things going on for them. And if I learn kamae, then later on I can move around in what Hatsumi Sensei was talking about and what the way he and the master teachers move around using Shizen Tai, because I'm still using the same principles and concepts that we need these for until we understand that part. Okay? Everybody gets so caught up in the Lincoln Logs or the Legos or the building blocks or whatever that they miss what those things are supposed to build. Because I can use the same bricks, same material, same wiring, same whatever to build my home office, to build a kitchen, or to build a bathroom. But the function of that thing is different. Okay? What does kamae teach? Okay? Kamae teaches positioning, as in possession. What do you call it? Positioning, as in protective positioning. Okay? It teaches balance, control, balance, alignment. Right? Because I have to have freedom of movement. Right? I can take up a position, but that doesn't mean I can move equally well in all directions should I need to move in any one of them. Right? It sets me up because my balance is in a certain place, my weight's in a certain place, makes certain directions easy, not others. People tend to not notice that because they're learning based on kata training and they don't do a whole lot of sparring or randori or whatever. What ends up happening is, knowingly or unknowingly, they cheat the system so that it's easy to do the next move. But if that next move had to be done as a spontaneous, I got to move there now, you can either move there or you cannot. Right? So positioning, balance, which is actually through alignment, right? We're stacking things. Okay. This alignment is neutralizing the effects of gravity on the body. Right? And then cover. Some people might say shielding. If you understand your kamae, with rare exceptions like hoko and hira and things like that, right? With rare exceptions, all of your kamae force the attacker to punch over or under at least one limb to get at you, to get your primary targets. Okay? So if he has to do that and you've got blood, sweat, mud, dust, whatever in your eye, and all you see is a blur, a flinch response will take care of blocking. If you don't have that, you will have to go around things and find it in the heat of a fight. Okay? But that's what it teaches, right? Body movement. I don't care if it's rolling, walking, running up walls, tenkai, vaulting, those kind of things, right? Whatever. I don't care what it is. Okay? What do your body movement skills teach you? Break falls, really? I'm not break falling when I'm walking. Okay? What's this teach? Balance control. Balance control. Okay? A lot of people might answer agility, right? Makes me agile. Yeah, no. you can try to be agile, but if your balance sucks, if the form you're creating by putting your body in certain things, if you're not moving across certain areas of your body and staying on a balanced line, you're not going to be agile. You're going to look like a really bad break dancer. Okay. It teaches balance control. The better my balance and the better the control of my body, the more agile I will be. And this, again, springboards off of this with neutralizing the effect of gravity on my body. But it also works with inertia and a whole bunch of her other sisters, right? Striking. What's striking teach? Hitting somebody. Okay, so I just said that grabbing had the same thing over here, right? So if it's hitting, then what about like grabbing a wrist or doing a wrist reversal or whatever? Are you like punching the wrist or the hand as you're doing a wrist reversal? No. So it's not about striking. Okay. It's about limb. Well, I could just write out limb control, but limb extension and retraction. Learning how my muscles are attached to the bones so that when I do these things, they're strong. At what point, at what extension can I still be bent, but when I make impact, there's no blowback on my system and I can continue driving through? At what point is too little going to reduce the effect of the strike, reduce the power in the strike, because that's going to happen. I'm hitting him, but the joints are flexing. Okay. At what point is too much extension, because now I'm going to cut down on power because I don't have the follow through, because every strike has two parts. Every strike has impact, right? And every strike has follow through. Sometimes when we're striking, we focus on more of one and less of another, right? But either way, there's two parts to a strike. Okay. Are we working on both parts? Okay. So anyway, these are the core training areas when we're working on basics, right? Kamae. Do I know how to put my body in the right position? Am I on balance? Am I covered, right? Do I understand what's covered and what's open, right? Because not everything is open. Every kamae has open windows. Every kamae has exposed things. If you know what they are, you can use them. If you don't know what they are and he sees them, he's going to take advantage of them, and you weren't cognizant enough in your training to make sure that you can take care of that thing. Okay. It's kind of like these MMA guys when somebody comes in with a lateral shin kick and they keep wrecking at the knees. And I watch these guys' knees buckle and all that. And, lucky for them for now that they've got strong enough thighs and all that, because an attack to the knee can just blow that meniscus, destroy the joint, right? It takes like 65 pounds per square inch of force to blow an adult knee. I don't care if it's mine, Schwarzenegger's, whatever. Okay. So, but what they haven't learned how to do is cover that thing so that when that attack comes in, the guy runs into something that he didn't plan on running into, right? Anyway, intermediate stuff. So let's get rid of this stuff, not get rid of it, but anyway, intermediate, right? Intermediate is dynamics. Okay? Timing, distancing, angling, flow, those kind of things, right? The things that breathe life into these things. What's the best time for that strike to land based on what he's doing, based on the mechanics in his body? He's locking down to make impact, right? That's the best time for me to land that thing, because now it's going to shoot radiate up his arm, catch his spine, immobilize the feet because there's a slight balance breaking, so that locks him down. That gives me an open window to do my next thing, right? When, right, should I use a given kamae, tactic, skill, whatever, right? So that requires assessment and those kind of things, right? The flow, right? To eliminate stop, start, open gaps, right? Okay. So, sometimes teachers in Japan will just say, stay moving, keep moving, right? Otherwise you leave yourself exposed, right? And not my fault if you didn't get the lessons, right? But anyway, right? So what's in dynamics, right? So I'm going to use some terminology that we use in our curriculum, but I'll explain as we go back through, right? So we have two primary drills that we start teaching in Mod 2, okay? We have one that's called Sen Undo, okay? Sen Undo, and we have one that's called En Undo. Japanese is a cool language. Sometimes just dropping the S and you get the opposite kind of thing going on, right? And then something that everybody's familiar with, right? I'm not writing Kihon Happo. I'm going to write Kihon Gata. Fundamental forms. Kihon Happo. Most people don't know what that means. But anyway, right? Okay. So 3 different training areas, right? What's each one do? Okay. So in Mod 2, Senundo is this, avoiding multiple strikes that are coming in, right? So because we're teaching naname, 30 to 45 degree angles, right? It's a repetition, right? Undo means drill, exercise, or whatever. In this case, it implies repetition, something you're doing again and again and again to get. Not a kata. It's not a self-defense technique, but it has absolutely everything to do with self-defense. Okay? Hopefully you can get your head wrapped around that, right? So in Mod 2, it looks like this. Because we're practicing to avoid a shot, avoid a shot, avoid a shot, avoid a shot, using this naname and angling, right? In all honesty, we start teaching it in Mod 1, right? Because it's what it's teaching, right? It's a concept, it's a principle, right? What Senundo is the ability to go from kamai to kamai to kamai to kamai, either the same kamai or a different kamai, without losing the benefits of kamai, without leaving yourself open, okay? Without getting yourself stuck on your own lack of balance, stiffness, whatever, right? Enundo, right, is this back and forth kind of thing where my partner throws a punch, I shift, receive, come back in, he throws a punch, I avoid, receive, that kind of thing. We're actually both doing the exact same thing, either punching or receiving and countering, and we're doing it again and again and again. So what ends up happening is, right, because we're working naname as well, right, we end up going around in a circle, right? Sen in Senundo means line or linear. It implies linear, okay? So it's point-to-point kind of stuff. En implies a circle or something that's circular, right? So we're moving around this way. So if the punch that's being used or the kick or whatever is on the right side, we're going to end up moving counterclockwise. Of course, we need to practice on both sides. So if it's coming on the left side, we're going to move clockwise, right? But let's get rid of that, because the other way to look at this circular thing is what Enundo is about is defense to offense transition and offense to defense transition. So there's a flow, like an ocean wave. Rolls up, gathers lots of power, crashes back in. The ocean wave, the ocean doesn't go. But that's how people tend to do their stuff. 1, 2, 1. Or they just throw a whole bunch of speed in so they can, scramble the guy and do their thing. But that doesn't make it right. Right? Teacher told me a long time ago, faster and harder doesn't make something right. Makes it wrong, faster and harder. Right? So defense to offense. I pull back, my energy rolls over, I throw the attack back in. He's doing the same thing. He's pulling back, avoiding that, right? So it's this back and forth figure 8 kind of thing. So it's either defense to offense transition, or if I'm the one throwing the initial punch, I throw it in there, he counters that and comes back in, so I'm rolling it back out. So I throw a punch, it misses, oh shit, I'm moving back out again, right? So it's defense to offense, offense to defense transition. It's filling in the start-stop gaps that people tend to have in this robotic martial arty kind of movement, right? Kihon Gata, right? We have these fundamental skills that keep showing up in kata over and over and over again, right? So whether you call them Kihon Appo, whether you call them Kihon Gata, whatever, there are these example forms for how to apply this thing. But what are they teaching? Well, duh, Mushadori's teaching like this thing, and Ganseki's teaching this throw. Right? What's the common link? What are they teaching? They're teaching the primary rule of survival. We drop the phrase self-defense and replace it with survival. Okay? Then it doesn't matter if we're doing this. We're doing wilderness survival, urban survival, relationship survival, whatever. Okay? The primary rule of survival is energy conservation. I know you probably can't read that, but I'm just writing it out. Energy conservation. Okay? How do I do this thing with the least amount of effort, with the least amount of force? Now, I can't do too little because now that's dead energy, and it's not going to work. It's going to backfire on me, right? Okay? But how do I get the timing, the angling, the positioning of my body and all that against his in such a way that this thing just happens, right? Energy conservation. This is not just learning another damn monkey move. Ichimonji no kata, Jumonji no kata, Hicho no kata. If we're doing that, we can do that, but we're doing it up here. Because when I'm doing it up here, Ichimonji no kata is just combining Ichimonji no kamae, angular footwork, flowing knees, that kind of stuff, right? And certain types of strike, whether I'm doing the Gyoko Ryu swatting counter strike, this Togakure or Koto kind of thing, this, Shito, it doesn't matter, right? On a fundamental level, these things are just examples of how these things would go together. But that doesn't mean that I'm in intermediate level training. Okay? When I'm focusing on combining these things in a way that's less energy, same or greater output, right? How to not leave myself exposed while I'm coming in here to catch this arm so he can't punch me in the face in the process, right? All that stuff, right? Okay, so dynamics, right? Takamatsu Sensei, I wasn't there, right? He was dead long before I started training. But Hatsumi Sensei has told me in classes and all that Takamatsu Sensei said that the Kihon Happo is all you need. Okay, so I only need 8 techniques, and let's say I'm smart enough to know that the Kihon Happo is a process for making variations from root techniques. Then, okay, maybe I can do that, right? Which is actually what we're going to be focusing on this Friday. Then what about what the hell's the rest of this? Okay, well, if you did my 0-point training or went through that video or whatever, a lot of the stuff is in there. What he's talking about is if you have all this, you can do this with this. You can handle most attack situations. Now, if you want to worry about protecting yourself against people as good or better than you, then probably not. Okay? So, and it was also from the perspective of a ninja. Okay? Remember, for a ninja, if we have to use our skills, if we have to draw our sword, whatever, right? I'm using a bunch of these ancient analogies. If I have to do that, I have already failed because my presence and intentions and motives and agenda are seen. Okay? So now all that's left is escape. All that's left is getting my ass out of there. Okay? Because the whole thing about ninjutsu is working our will without action. That doesn't mean that we're not doing anything. It means that nobody can tell that we're the one doing anything. Okay? Remember that vision picture up here? That's been my vision because that's what I was introduced to. That's what made me do this and not a whole bunch of other martial arts that are doing pretty much the same thing with your body and doing pretty much the same things to somebody else's body. What makes this different? We're not doing it like everybody else. And it's not a style difference. It's a whole outlook difference. Okay? So what is advanced, right? Advanced is where your kata are. Okay? Advanced is about intention and staging. How do I set things up? How do I control the bubble? How do I control his choices, decision making, and all that, so that he literally gives me what I need to produce the results that I'm looking for in that moment? Now, in our curriculum, that's 3rd dan and above. General Bujinkan stuff, as I was coming up through the ranks, that's 10th dan and above. Okay? At least. Right? Okay? But this is where the kata are. Kata, right? Yeah, but different perspective, different outlook, right? So if we look at our kata, what we have are kata that are against strikes. That includes kicks, right? Or cuts, because I have to take into account blades and things like that, right? We have kata against grabbing attacks, and we have kata against combinations. But if you've been around for any length of time, you'll know that 70% of what we do all starts with one of these things, right? They all end a different way. What are kata teaching me? How to control a situation and resolve things to a certain ending, right? How to adapt to what he's doing, how to know right? How to intuitively know what the next piece should be. And that requires that we dissect these things. We pull out the tactical positioning, the strategic thinking, and all that kind of stuff, and not just copy the monkey moves. Okay? So 3 levels, right? So here's the question, and you don't have to answer for me, right? Where are you? Or where should you be? Because if I'm still thinking about where my foot goes or my body weight in a Seigan no Kamae does not universally go to 70-30 weight distribution, 70 back, 30 front, those kind of things. If I'm still bent over, my ass is sticking out, my head's bobbed, I'm leaning and whatever, right? Okay. Then I don't have these things in muscle memory. Okay. Only when they're in there and I can do them 8, 9, 10 out of 10 times out of 10, or 8 or 9 times out of 10, right? Correctly, can I even think about starting to string things together for other things? The problem is that ego always wants to circumvent the process and get there now. Okay? Because ego, if we think about that vision thing that I put up here, everybody has a vision about what they want to be able to do. It might be vague, right? It might be like a fantasizing kind of thing, right? Okay? They might be daydreaming about it every once in a while, and they haven't really formulated it, right? They really haven't spent time reinforcing it and seeing things in more detail. Who will be there? Who am I protecting, right? How will I dress? How will I, what's the environment that I'm in, right? What kind of decisions do I make? Those kind of things, right? So they don't have them. So what ends up happening is they jump into a program and they just expect the teacher to just hand them stuff. That's what we do. Okay? But how does this produce the end result that you want? Okay? How does it produce the end result you want, right? That's why one of the parts of our 3-part student creed for students, again, you don't memorize it so you can pass a test. You memorize it so you can recognize whether or not you're doing it. It's a litmus test, right? The second part of the student creed is, I believe in what I study. I am disciplined. I'm ready to learn in advance. Okay. Part 2 and part 3 right there, right? I'm disciplined. I'm going to do what I know I need to do without somebody else motivating me, threatening me, warning me, reminding me, whatever. I'm a freaking grown-up, right? I know it needs to be done. It's not to the extent that it needs to be to produce that vision. I need to freaking work on it, right? I'm ready to learn in advance, right? I'm ready to do it now, not later, right? But the first part, I believe in what I study. I believe that this program, this group of lessons and all that stuff will produce the end result. It'll produce the me that I want to be, and it will give me the skills that I know I need to have to be that person to produce the success and results that I want. I don't think anybody thinks about this stuff deeply enough because, it's that compartmentalization kind of thing again, right? It's just like, and then it's because they chose this over something else, right? Ninjutsu is better than Taekwondo. That's better than Kung Fu. That's better. How the hell do you know? Have you done those things? Well, yeah, I did. And okay, what makes this different? Like we got like way more toys than they do. Yeah, I know, but can you use them? Because having way more toys also means you're going to need to be committed longer to learning this stuff because it takes longer to get. Unless you know that there are core principles and concepts, 5, 6, give or take, that everything points to, and that's the ability. Right? Can you produce it in your life? Can you produce it on the job? Can you produce it in your relationships? Can you produce it when you're parenting? I don't know about you, but I live in a fairly safe area. And I know there's crimes and crap like that happening all the time, but it's not coming at me every day. What's coming at me every day? The possibility for somebody arguing, insulting, trying to force something on me so I buy it, right? Whatever, right? That's what's coming at me every day. So how does this get translated? My positioning relative to their intent to do me harm. How am I covering or shielding, right? If I'm dealing with somebody who's yelling and screaming at me, this is not the way I'm going to be yelling and screaming back. But if I understand that I'm neutralizing the force of their attack, I'm assessing weaknesses and strengths and all that, and then I'm going to target nothing but weaknesses, which is what those type of techniques teach, right? Then I can apply that in an argument. I can apply that against a pushy salesman. I can apply that against the media messaging or some manipulative politician or a teenager or younger throwing a freaking temper tantrum or whatever. It's the same thing. How do I maintain my balance and composure, right? How do I still look like not phased. Okay. Same thing, right? How do I carry myself through the world, right? How do I reach out and pick up things so I'm not destroying my body? Okay? All that stuff, right? Positioning, being able to move from place to place, job to job, one relationship to another without folding or carrying baggage with it, whatever, right? And be effective, right? Still maintain my composure, not end up in depression, not going in thinking that I'm going to like bull rush everybody because people treated me one way in one place, and now I'm going to treat these people that way so they don't ever get a chance to do that, right? So it's still the same thing, right? Endo, flow, right? Can I transition from shithead treating me a certain way at 10 a.m. to at 10:05, I'm focused on the job and I'm laughing and joking with people that are on my team and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not carrying that, right? Or somebody throws a slight at me. Can I take that and very quickly roll it around and go, look, if you're going to be that way, you just need to leave the area, right? Okay. So can I move from one thing to another with flow, grace, ease, that kind of thing, right? Without having to like stop and rethink about it and what would sensei say? And okay. Am I getting closer and closer to natural movement, natural ways of doing things, right? Energy conservation. Okay, so that I can last longer, right? Most people on my team aren't up as late as I am, right? Last night, I fought sleep. I kept waking myself up because a task needed to be done. That was at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had been up since 6:30 the previous morning, right? Because I'm that committed to the vision. I'm not saying that you need to be, right? But I need to, and waking myself up meant wake up, move, do certain things with my body, change my breathing to give more oxygen to my brain, that kind of thing, and live the lessons. Live the lessons, right? Anyway, 3 levels of mastery. I know it seems obvious when we go basic, intermediate, advanced, but what are we looking at, right? At one level, we're focusing on mechanics, right? You. It's all about you and your positioning. At this level, it's all about him. Can you do this stuff at somebody else's timing, at somebody else's height, reach, strength level, whatever? Can you match them? You should be able to do this stuff so well that you don't have to think about it. So now I can match him. This one is about both of you because it's this back and forth kind of thing, right? What my black belts learn very, very quickly when we work on the kata at that level is we break it down into different positions so they understand whoever does the most things right and the least mistakes at the wrong time and that kind of stuff. Universal justice says they get to win. Okay, so we start breaking the kata apart at points where, right? At this point right here, if he lands that and does this next thing, he wins, right? So we need to be in a position so he can't do that, or we need to be able to counter it, that kind of thing, right? This Friday coming up, I don't know why that's still on sound because I thought I turned it off, but either way, it doesn't matter, right? So it might be some of you guys trying to post things, but I can't see any chats what I'm looking at, right? So Friday, we do these Friday virtual classes, 6 p.m. Eastern, runs till about 7:30, give or take 7:15, 7:30. So somewhere between a 60 and 90-minute class. They're $4.99, right? $4.99. People can jump on the lessons that they want or whatever, right? You can go to that little, didn't put it up. What people say when they're just trying to like deflect away from their own mistake instead of saying, I apologize, instead of apologizing. Oh, my bad. Really? That's what apologies sound like these days, right? No wonder people have shitty control of their lives, right? Well, that's what I meant. Really? Because when I mean I apologize, I say I apologize and I act like I apologize. I don't go, my bad. Okay. Anyway, so 6 p.m., you can go to this little URL right here, right? Sign up for it. If it's not updated at the moment, you can still sign up for it. I just need to double check it and make sure that it's right. The other thing that's going on is I'm opening the doors to my platinum distance learning program. I've got some spots for some folks. So if you want to take things farther or just see what I have available and whatnot, you can. Hopefully you already took a snapshot of this. And if not, you'll need to wait until the recording's up, right? You can send an email to I will try to write this more legibly. Okay. Warrior C at warriorconceptsonline.com. In the subject block, write call request. Okay. Call request. See, I'm back to crappy writing. If you send that to me, tell me a little bit about yourself, where you are in training, what you're looking for, and whatnot. I'll make sure that we're a good fit and all that, and then we can schedule a time to chat and see if I can help you. Right? I mean, this needs to be on both sides, right? I'm not somebody who's just throwing up a freaking black belt program and then expecting you to buy it, and then I'm going to provide bare minimum kind of things. We've got weekly coaching calls for the groups where we hop on and people can ask questions. I have extra topics that I teach. This is not we're only going to do Ninpo-Taijutsu or Budo Taijutsu, but we're going to call it Ninjutsu. It's not that. This is a Ninjutsu training program. Okay? So we're going to be handling mental stuff, emotional stuff. We're going to be handling a lot of this Kuji things, weapons, all kinds of things, right? This is not what most of everybody else is doing, right? This is Ninjutsu, right? So if you want to do that, that's great. At least, hopefully, I'll see you on the Friday virtual call. If not, no harm, no foul. Hopefully, this gave you some way to kind of classify and categorize things, even if you're what I call a YouTube student, right? Where you're running around trying to figure this stuff out, right? Because one of the habits of successful students is that they surround themselves with coaches and mentors, right? But most people they look at the tuition or whatever that is being charged, and they go, "Dude, I can go to YouTube and get that for free." Okay, one more little picture to send you on your way. Okay, you know what an iceberg is, right? Okay, iceberg. Okay, took out the Titanic, right? An iceberg. When people are trying to jump around YouTube or jump around to seminars or whatnot, and they don't have a teacher that can move them through things, right? What they're doing is they're looking at this stuff. And then they can't figure out why they're not getting anywhere. Do you understand iceberg? About 2/3 of that is under the ocean that you can't see. That's why you need a mentor. That's why you need a coach. So that they can show you and explain to things and stuff like that you're never going to see if you're just watching other monkeys demonstrate stuff or whatnot. Unless you are the most intuitive monkey on the planet, and they're rare. Trust me, no matter what we think we are, they're rare. Okay? You can make it look like, but can you make it function like? Okay? Anyway, that's all I got for today. Hopefully I'll see you again next week for Whiteboard Wednesday. Hopefully I'll see you on the Friday virtual call. And, if it's up for that, right? Warrior C at warriorconceptsonline.com. Call request in the subject line. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Please, 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 please do not be a tire kicker. I ain't got the time. Okay? I'm very, very selective, right? So if you're not going to do the work, if you're just looking to jump from one to another, if you're looking to give me some kind of sob story about why you want to, but you can't, but you'll be my best student and all that, please save us both the time, okay? I'm looking for serious students who want serious progress and want serious help. That's it, all right? I'll talk to you again next time. Be safe, train hard, have a good rest of your week. Bye-bye.